Hello everyone, welcome to Parallel Lines Day 2. Remember, it's important that you're completing your notes in your packet. So today's notes aren't really notes, they're reviewing what we learned yesterday. So the important thing is going to be that you are completing the packet and pausing and trying the problems when I ask you to. So number one, I'm going to do with you. So number one says find the values of x and y and justify your answer with theorems. So justify means show your work, but this says with theorems. So that means I need to say what theorem I'm using. So notice that these lines are labeled as parallels. So when that's the case, I like to highlight them. I'm going to draw lines through them. And then you'll notice that I have this line going through it. So that's my transversal. So then angle 70 and x are corresponding angles. So my theorem is if parallel lines corresponding angles are congruent. And remember, it's important you learn these vocabs, so I made a Quizlet for you that you should be practicing. So since corresponding angles are congruent, that means x equals 70. So if x equals 70, then that means if I put x and 50 together to form this one big angle here, that one big angle is 120, and then that is a linear pair. So then I have a linear pair, and I needed to make the large angle because pair means 2. So that means y equals 180 minus 120, or 60. So now I want you to pause, and I want you to try on your own to do number 2, and then come back and we'll go over it. All right, so what I did here is notice, first of all, I outlined C, D, and AB because those are my parallel lines. And then I knew they were talking about 1 and 2. So I looked for 1 and 2, and they were on this transversal. So I emphasized that. Then I noticed that there really wasn't a relationship between 1 and 2 because of this extra line in there. However, if I make 3 plus 1, one angle x, the relationship between x and 70 is that they're supplementary because those are same side interior angles. And therefore, x plus 70 equals 180. Therefore, x equals 110. And then remember that 1 and 3 together make x. So that means measure of angle 3 is 60 because it's 110 minus 50. So now I'm going to help you set up number 3. And then I want you to pause and do it together. So it says the ratio of BGH. So BGH is this angle right here. And GHD, so then GHD is this pink angle, is 2 to 3. Remember, whenever it's any ratio, I'm going to make BGH is 2x and GHD is 3x. Find the measure of each of those angles, explain your reasoning. So now that I've kind of outlined that for you, I want you to pause and try on your own. So for this problem, I kind of explained my reasoning first because I looked at BGH and GHD and noticed that those are same side interior angles. When lines are parallel, if same side interior angles are always supplementary. So that means 2x plus 3x equals 180. I solved, and I got x equals 36. So then BGH equals 2x, so that's 2 times 36, so it's 72. Then GHG is 3x, so it's 3 times 36, which is 108. So now number 4. This is kind of tricky because notice I have 2 parallel lines, but I don't really have a transversal. So what I want to do to solve this problem is I want to add a third parallel line. And my third parallel line is going to go right through the point where those 2 transversals I had kind of intersect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend those transversals that intersected to make 2 different transversals. Now that line I drew, that wasn't very straight. That blue line I drew down the middle, that's parallel to the other 2, but it doesn't necessarily split that 72 exactly in half. It's just parallel. So now when I look at it, I'm going to first focus on the pink transversal. With my pink transversal, since this angle down here is 50, that means this angle, which is part of the 72, is also 50 because those are corresponding angles. Now if I look at that light blue transversal, this angle is X, and then this angle down here, which is the other side of that 72, is also X because those are congruent because those are corresponding angles. So what that tells me is that the X and 50 combined together equals 72. So then I solve that. So I have X plus 50 equals 72. I subtract 50 and X equals 22. Now, the real nitty-gritty of what we're going to talk about today is this idea of writing proofs with these. I know, more proofs. So if we know R and M are parallel, so again, I like to highlight those in one color. And then I know A and B are also parallel, so I'm going to make those a different color. I need to prove that 1 is congruent to 5. So if I look at 1 and 5, 1 and 5 are not on the same parallel. I mean, they're both on the pink parallel lines, but they're not on the same transversal. So I can't really utilize that. But since I know R and M are parallel, those are my blue lines. This pink line A is my transversal. I know 5 is the same as 3. Why do I know 5 is the same as 3? Because they are corresponding angles. So step 2, I'm going to say angle 5 is congruent to angle 3. I'm going to say if parallel, then corresponding angles are congruent. Now I'm trying to get to 1, but I know 5 is the same as 3. So if I look at 3 and 1, is there a relationship there using my pink parallel lines? Well, if I use my pink parallel lines, I know 3 is congruent to 1 because if parallel lines, then alternate interior angles are congruent. And now since I know 5 is equal to 3 and 3 is equal to 1, I can say that 5 is equal to 1 by doing substitution. Okay. We have 2 more proofs to do today, and that's it for our notes. So, number 6. I know AB is parallel to CD. And actually, we're going to do this one in our notes, and then we'll do the next one in class tomorrow. And then I know that BC is parallel to AD. So I have a pink pair and a blue pair. And I want to prove D is congruent to B. Well, if I look at this, I can get that D and C are same side interior angles. So that means that angle D plus angle C equals 180 because, and this should be a 1 here, and then this is 2. Because if parallel, then same side interior angles are supplementary. And then if I look at my blue lines, I know that angle C plus angle B equals 180 because same reason, if parallel lines, same side interior angles are supplementary. And then I can do a little bit of substitution and set them equal to each other. So I'm going to say D plus C equals C plus B, because they both equal 180. And then I can subtract C from both sides, and I get D is congruent to B. So this is substitution, and then I subtracted. Just like when you're solving an equation, you can subtract 6 from both sides. I can subtract an angle from both sides. And there's my proof. So again, we'll do this one tomorrow in class. Have a good night.